Welcome to the Pipeline and People podcast powered by Versorix, the show where boutique firm leaders trade less admin for more advisory. Each week, we share actionable tactics to keep your client pipeline full and your team performing at its best. I'm your host, Jaden Parisi. Let's dive in. Today's guest is Kate McCauley, founder of Danu, a high-impact coaching and mindset training practice, helping individuals and teams unlock the champion within. Kate, welcome. Could you kick us off with a quick look at your background and how Danu came to life?
No problem. Thank you for having me, Jaden. I'm excited to chat with you today. So it was a long beginning for me. I was in the public school system for 20 years as a health and phys ed teacher. Pandemic hit. It was crazy town for everyone. During that time, I had virtual learners here. Of course, I was teaching virtually. I was about 20 years in to teaching, and I realized that when I was home, even though I was working incredibly hard, that I was no longer in that toxic work environment. Lots of great kids there, but a lot of issues that, to be quite honest, the leadership was not handling well, and we were all just barely surviving even pre-pandemic. So during that time away, I got all kinds of different certifications, started my company thinking, well, maybe this will be a little side hustle for me and it'll be something that I could do alongside my teaching career. Jumped to April of 2021, and one thing led to another with my own children and their learning related to virtual in-person. My company had started to get some traction. I don't want to say I was really like killing it yet. And my HR director made some crazy decisions, and I bet on myself and I resigned in April of 21, stepped fully into my business, and now I get to help people win is the short version of it through mindset tools, as you mentioned.
Amazing. That's it sounds like a lot to juggle, 3 kids, side hustle.
Yeah, which is now my full-time hustle. So, making it work, and sometimes they get thrown into the mix. I'll say, you're going to come be the content creators and
That's
things at
awesome.
workshops. Yeah. So it's been a journey.
Yeah, you've been on quite the podcast tour lately. How have those experiences, helped get your message out online?
Yeah, so I went on a podcast tour. I'm doing it again. This is actually my second podcast tour. 2 years ago, I set a goal that I would be on at least one podcast every single week, just so I could meet some cool people, get the message out there about mindset, because it is really important to me to help people change their lives, meet them where they are, take them to where they want to go. And honestly, Jaden, I had no idea how to get it out there, but I was listening to podcasts and thought, all right, let me see how this goes. I learned a lot about it. I have loved it, met so many nice people. I actually started my podcast because of the podcast tour. I learned what I like, what I don't like, and it's been awesome. I get to meet people, connect with people that wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for podcasting.
Great. Okay, well, let's dive into the main section here. So just have a few questions about, your role and your business. You describe yourself as the guide on the side. What does that mean in practice when you're working with clients?
Yeah, so oftentimes, and I'm really grateful for these statements, people will come back to me, whether it's a corporate leader, a coach, someone at a business, or, a principal at a school, and they'll say, we love you. You're the angel. You're this. I'm like, okay, thank you. And I do really appreciate that. And I own that I make a difference, but really, they do the work. I call myself the guide on the side. I'm giving them these mindset tools. I do visualization, different types of practices to quite literally rewire their brain without making them take a neuroscience class. And I know how to do this because I'm certified. My youngest guy has a uniquely beautiful brain. He's like my own little case study. I've done it for myself. And I can give all of the information, just like, you could listen to a podcast, read a book. And if you don't take action, you just have a lot of information out there. So I'm really that guide on the side to show you how it's done. And I like to call myself a pusher, where I say, all right, let's get to it. You need to take some action here, because, just sitting here and listening and nodding your head is not going to get you results. So, but I do remind them that they need to own it, because if they didn't take that action, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, people often need that push.
They do. I'm from outside of Philly, so I keep it real. Little tough love sometimes.
Oh, for sure. You serve like a pretty diverse mix of people, right? Like, athletes, teams, educators, individuals. What kind of connects all of them? And, where's your sweet spot as a coach?
I am really grateful that I get to love a lot of different people. And I think that it is all based on those mindset principles, where they are, where they want to go. And I say simply, as I said in the beginning, I get to help people win. And some people think that's just the athletes or the teams. And really, for me, it's WIN, what is needed. So my sweet spot is that I am a teacher and that I can talk with a group, the leaders specifically, and say, what's going on? And where do you want your people to be? And then we co-create it together. And that's really my sweet spot because I did it for 20 years. When you're a teacher, you're not just teaching to one kid. If you're a good teacher anyway, you're teaching to the whole class. There's diverse learners, all those things. If I had to pick my favorite space to be, it would probably be when I get to work with groups together. So the coaches and the teams, the leaders and the sales department. So when everyone comes together, sometimes it's a generational thing where it's parents and their kids. I love those combined groups because we see so much epic growth alongside each other. And that's pretty powerful to watch those moments happen in real time.
Why do you think that is, that it works better in groups than like individually?
I think they feed off of each other's energy. And I think that they both are rooting for each other, if that makes sense. The leaders and the sales team or the coach and the athletes, they're in that room because someone signed up, right? Usually someone in charge who's making those decisions. But they're always there because, my coaches always say, for example, I want them to be better humans when they leave. And when an athlete's sitting in the room with me, it doesn't matter if they're youth, collegiate level, even professional level athletes, they want to show up as the best version of themselves. All of us do. And when you have a whole support team there saying, do have this within inside you, and then I'm the pusher, it's just that whole energy. It's just a whole vibe. It's like you can almost feel it happening in a room. It's pretty cool.
That's cool. Well, thank you. Okay, so let's dive into kind of today's topic, standing out online. What would you say you do to help stand out online?
Well, I figure it out as I go. I'm not going to lie to you. I am watching all kinds of things. I'm a learner myself, always have been. So I will jump into different free webinars. Sometimes they're low ticket things. I'll occasionally have coaches who, I've invested myself, but I watch and I listen. What's happening? What's trending? I turn to the experts. I was on a call, I think it was the LinkedIn Live thing yesterday. I see something pop up and it's awesome person talking about, this is what's happening at YouTube. This is what's happening on Instagram, all those different things. And it's constantly changing. And I have to be willing to learn and fail along the way. I tell my clients that too. That's research. So I just have gotten much better at just putting myself out there. And I try to focus on, a lot of different platforms, but I think I'm definitely stronger on LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm getting a little bit better on YouTube and, figuring it out as I go, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely important not to think of fails as fails. There's only wins and lessons.
Absolutely.
What's one lesson that you've learned
Related to social media, or like putting it out there?
related like
A failure. When I first started this business, I was thinking to myself, I'm a teacher. I can do all these things. I didn't get a gig that I put in for that I thought was perfect for me, teaching other educators, how to show up in the classroom, what they can do. I have a son who has an IEP, all these different things. I checked all the boxes and just didn't hear back from it. And I was so like angry, like, why wouldn't they pick me? But whenever that happens now, I get a no or no answer from something because I'm always putting myself out there and pitching and, filling out all the different forms for workshops, speaking engagements. I really do look at it now as next opportunity. These weren't my right people. Where before I used to dwell on that. Why didn't I get it? What am I doing wrong? Is it something on TikTok or Instagram that isn't, all the shoulds and the supposed to? So I really just think they're not my people. Or they're not my people right now. And, maybe they'll come back around later. I can't take it personal. So I think that was really, I don't know if I want to call it a failure, but definitely a lesson for me from the beginning until where I am now.
For sure. And I feel like I've been kind of going through the same thing myself right now, especially getting guests for this podcast. I've sent like 2,500 emails.
Oh,
I've got
wow.
maybe 75 yeses, which, is great, but
Right.
that's a lot of no's. you know.
It is. You have to get
So
comfortable with a lot of no's when we're in this
yeah,
type of, asking others to jump on a podcast or, bring me in to talk to your people. And it's funny, you'll probably see as the podcast grows, people will just start messaging you. That happened to me too on my podcast. And it's an interesting turn because you're like, I thought I asked this person last year.
yeah,
No, it works out. You're exactly where you're meant to be, is what I always say.
yeah. If we watched you prep for a keynote or a launch of a new offer, what are specific things that you would do to kind of get that attention, build trust, or have people be engaged?
Oh, okay. I thought you meant before I step out because I got a whole routine. So you mean during my actual presentation or
Well, walk us through both. Walk us through what you do before to
okay.
stand out, and then what you do during to keep people engaged.
So to stand out, definitely I lean on those teacher skills, which I didn't own in the beginning of my business. I kept saying things like, well, I was a teacher. Now I say I am a teacher. I just expanded the way I teach in different ways because I thought that people would think you're not a business owner, you're a teacher. It's quite the opposite. That's why I'm so good as a business owner
Okay.
because of I own all of those skills. So that I really just tell people I'm a teacher. I can create this, I can meet them where they are. I had a really challenging school district that I worked in, so I had to be ready for anything that was said to me, anything that came my way, and that is something I really use when I'm talking with people or something happens. I'm flexible as I had to be. So those teacher skills, and really, you'll see me taking care of me before a keynote, before a workshop, even a one-to-one client group session. I literally will dance. I get myself ready. I got certain songs that I will play. Like if I'm driving somewhere, I play things on the way home to take care of me and remind myself that I get to love these people and give this information to them. And then when I am actually presenting, I mean, I bring the energy like you've never seen before. I go all in. I mean, I am there so that you get, all of this. You're pumped up. You're like, I'm ready to go. And I also keep it real. I build rapport. I talk. Sometimes people say, like, don't talk to the audience because what if they say something back? But I was a teacher. So there's nothing they can say back that I'm not ready for. So I love that rapport with the group because it's about them. It's not about me. I
Yeah.
actually don't care if like they say my name or who I am. I just want them to take away the lessons and put it into action. So I think that's what you
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. What are some of your go-to songs
so
to
that I
sing?
listen to.
Yeah.
So I will play I Get to Love You. So that's like it's really, I think about like kids and like relationships, but I think of that as my clients. Like I really do love them and I get to love you. That'll be on my way there. I'll also turn on like Eye of the Tiger, things like that, where I'm getting like pumped up. Oh goodness, there's like a whole list, a playlist of champion songs that I have that I remind myself. One's like Fire Inside. It's all these pump up type of music where I'm ready to pour into them and myself, remind myself that I did the work to get here.
That's great. You should make that public.
I should make that playlist public
Yeah.
out there and say, this is what I do. Because it really, there's a lot of great songs. I'm laughing thinking of the list. Maybe I will do that. I like that
Yeah.
idea. I might make a podcast episode and say, hey, this is what I do before. I don't think I've ever shared it, to be honest.
Sure. It could be good LinkedIn engagement too.
It could.
Good
I think I'm
post.
going to
Yeah.
steal that. Thank you, Jaden.
Cool. Okay. Well, that was a great section there. Now I kind of want to turn the lens inward a bit. What's your vision for Danu as it grows? Like, do you want to keep it personal, lean, or are you hoping to scale?
Well, I go all in. Anything I do, I go all in. People who know me as a teacher, I did this as a mom. Sometimes my teenagers roll their eyes like, seriously, like you don't need to be the loudest person here at our game. It is who I am. And I am currently collaborating with a phenomenal human. His name is Jerry Gribben, and he was an executive at Johnson and Johnson. He is just next level when it comes to these powerful people skills, soft skills, really, that high schoolers, college age students, and really people in the corporate space as well, they are lacking in this area. And he and I are collaborating. We're going to go on tour, kind of like my podcast tour, but we'll be doing it more in person, mostly some virtual, where we go in and I'll be doing the forward focused mindset piece and teaching them how to put this mindset into these powerful people skills, because you really do have to retrain your brain to be able to do this. Because the corporate space, the education space, where these young professionals or high schoolers, college kids are landing next, we're hearing and research is showing that they just don't have it. And there's a lot of reasons for that gap in the skills, but he and I are definitely scaling, and, it's starting to rev up now. We're booking for next fall, and we both are very aligned that it's not about Jerry and Kate. It's about everybody who's sitting in front of us and all the people that get to experience them, in their next phase of wherever they're going. So I think that's probably my next big thing that's going to scale. And I'm excited for it because I think that it's much needed. And I'm really, really grateful to work with Jerry in this process.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. Do you travel a lot, or is it just kind of the States?
It's been the States so far. I do globally things. Like I have a client one-to-one who's in Norway, for example. I
Oh,
have
wow.
clients, yeah, because of Zoom and,
Yeah.
that I can jump online. I definitely have done virtual gigs all over the world, but right now it's primarily the States. I know you're in Canada. I'm ready to
Yeah.
go if you're ready
Should come up here.
to. Yeah, so, I do see that probably happening. Right now, though, it's just been in person in the States, and virtually I've been a lot of different places.
Well, Florida is currently embarrassing us in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Okay. I won't bring that up if I come to Canada.
Yeah, I think they've won 3 in a row.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So I'm just looking at my questions here.
Yeah, no problem. We're good.
Probably edit this section out. Okay.
Okay.
So what's been hardest for you about, staying consistent with content and visibility?
Well, that's a great question. What's been hardest? Probably figuring out all of these algorithm type things that pop up. There's so much advice out there. I will be honest with you though, I've started to ignore some of it. And when I say ignore, I'm aware of it, but I'm not so obsessed where I have to say, like, I have to do this, I have to post at this certain time, or I have to do this. Because I have found that when I share after an event or before an event or just randomly on a Tuesday evening, that those things sometimes will, get a ton of views, likes, people will write a comment, this is exactly what I needed. And I wasn't following any kind of strategy there. So I'm aware of, the different things because, as I said, I'm always learning and, jumping in to say, all right, what are we talking about here? But I think the hardest part in the beginning was I felt like I had to do all the shoulds and the supposed tos and keep up with all the changes. And, I've shifted a little bit. Talk to me next week and I might say, oh my God, I'm trying to figure this out again. So it's a roller coaster when you're an entrepreneur because so many different things change. But I guess for content, that's probably it.
Yeah. No, having a plan is definitely very important, but
Mhm.
you don't need to follow it to a T. Things pivot, things adapt. Yeah. But have you noticed that content has, moved the needle in terms of opportunities, or
Oh,
where do you,
100%.
yeah? And where do
100%.
you kind of see the most from? Would it be like Instagram, LinkedIn?
I would say LinkedIn is where I see the most for speaking engagements and workshops. A lot of corporate connections there in LinkedIn. But ironically, it's been the posts that I have put up about my personal life or thanking someone. My son got a scholarship, for example, and we were at a really nice dinner. I thanked the group genuinely because it was an old school scholarship. We had to literally, when I say we, I was doing it with him. We're filling it out together because he was like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm like, oh, no, you're going to do this. But it was pen and paper, where most scholarships are online now. So it was, a journey. And there wasn't really a group of people after this dinner. We thanked the people there, but there wasn't anyone that I could say to him or any of us to email. So I posted on LinkedIn and tagged different groups that were involved. And it was genuinely a gratitude post on LinkedIn that brought me a couple different speaking engagements and workshops. So LinkedIn for those. I would say Instagram has brought me group clients for coaching and one-to-one clients in the corporate space and in their personal life. So those two. And then really Facebook for my personal. I do have a Facebook for my business. I neglected a little bit there, but my personal Facebook, I will occasionally share stuff from the business there, and mutual connections have gotten me indoors. I guess it's a little bit of everything, really.
Okay. And do you run ads on any of these platforms, or is it just like
No.
you being your genuine self and
Yeah, I
people
haven't
are
run any
attracted to that?
ads. I've debated it. And, I'm not going to say I won't, but I haven't done that yet just because it's been coming through referrals or posting, just on social media where people message me. And sometimes, not even sometimes, often, it's not even anyone who likes my posts, not anyone who comments. They will email me, or contact me through my website and say, I saw this on LinkedIn or I saw this on Instagram. So that's kind of an interesting journey for me too. I'm like, I was worried about all those likes and views, but they don't necessarily matter for me anyway in getting business.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe it has something to do with like, if someone sees that there's a lot of likes, they trust it more.
It could be. I do think I am very fortunate that I was in that education space for 20 years. So I have a lot of connections who left the education space or the school district that I was in and went somewhere else. So they have brought me to their new location. And it's this ripple effect of, I'm just going to own it. When I'm in a room, I get booked again. So someone in there will say, hey, can you come do this with either my kid's school or this team, our corporate space, which I'm very grateful for. So I think that has been a big part of it. But those people have definitely seen it. Those referrals have seen it because I'm sharing. I
Mhm.
say to people, if you don't show it, they don't know it. And in this day and age, like content really is king, even though I like let go of some of the shoulds and supposed tos.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, one final section here. We're gonna do a quick rapid fire. So I've got a few
Okay.
questions I'm gonna ask you, just whatever's on the top of your head. Maybe we'll follow up, maybe we won't. But
Okay.
okay, number one, what is the biggest myth about mindset coaching?
Well, that it's magic beans and that you'll have one session and everything's perfect tomorrow. It does take work. You have to do the work. It's not magic.
Yeah, for sure. No, that makes sense. Okay, one online move a consultant or coach can make this week to boost visibility.
Get on a podcast and leverage that, putting it everywhere. Take those little clips. That podcast can give you at least 10 different posts on different platforms. So start podcasting.
I agree. And as the host of a podcast, I double agree.
I thought you might. I really do
Yeah,
believe that, though, as a guest and a host.
for sure. Okay, favorite offstage ritual that keeps you grounded.
Definitely when I go out for a run, that keeps me just, here and now, and sometimes reminds me like you can't sprint like you used to. That definitely keeps me grounded.
Okay. And finally, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Ever received? Okay, that's a big question. What is the best piece of advice I've ever received? I would say probably just to be me, show up and be you. Yeah, I mean, that really is just for all areas of my life as, business owner, when I was a teacher, as a mom, just be you, be me.
Okay, amazing. Well, Kate, that was great. Thank you so much. Where can people find you?
So I'm on all those places that we were talking about. LinkedIn, it's my name, Kate McCauley. On Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, I go The Champion Within is really the handles for all of those things. That's the programs that I run. And my website is shop.danunow.com. And yeah, I'm all over the place. And if you hear this podcast, you can, just maybe click on those links, send me a message and tell me you heard the podcast, because I do like to know where people, connect with me, because then it gives me a little idea of that we would be aligned. So,
Yeah,
and
for
thank
sure.
you for having me today. I
Of
appreciate
course.
it.
Thank you for joining. It's a great episode. If you like this episode, share it with someone who's ready to be more visible. Until next time, I'm Jaden. This is the Pipeline People Podcast.